The year is 1999, and you are a fan of two things, SEGA and NASCAR. You had played NASCAR 98 on the SEGA Saturn, EA's first attempt at a NASCAR game, and you thoroughly enjoyed it. You patiently waited for NASCAR 99 to release, but it never came out on the Saturn. But let's be honest, that console was already dead by that point anyways. But now it's September, and you just got yourself the newest SEGA gaming console, the Dreamcast, along with a fresh copy of Sonic Adventure. The console is amazing, capable of putting out stellar graphics that the N64 and PlayStation could only dream of, and being able to run at a smooth 60 frames per second. September 30th rolls around, and it's time for the release of NASCAR 2000. So you drive to Best Buy in your Chevy Cavalier while listening to The Offspring, only to discover there is no NASCAR 2000 for the Dreamcast. It's on the Nintendo 64, it's on the PlayStation, heck, it's even on the PC and Game Boy Color. Why isn't it on the Dreamcast? Why isn't it available on the most powerful system at the time? Well, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. But life goes on. And your friends laugh at you as they play Gran Turismo 2, and you're stuck playing Sega GT just to ease your pain.
You can't park there, sir.
I know I can't park.
About a year later, after the apocalypse, you and your friends go for a night out at Pizza Inn. There, you find this. You squint, and no, this isn't Daytona, USA. This is a licensed NASCAR arcade game made by SEGA. It honestly does amaze me that we never got a licensed NASCAR game for the Dreamcast. Sure, it didn't sell well, but neither did the Saturn. Heck, the Saturn actually sold worse. And the Dreamcast was more than capable of running a game about cars turning left. So what happened? Well, I believe a lot of the blame can be pointed at the development of this. This is NASCAR Arcade, made under the license of EA Sports and developed by SEGA themselves. Now, the details are kind of muddy, but supposedly Electronic Arts backed out of all development for the Dreamcast because of EA Sports. Larry Probst, the president of EA at the time, wanted his company to be the only publisher of licensed sports game on the Dreamcast. But SEGA already had this covered with their SEGA Sports brand, which was developing games for the NFL, the NBA, NHL, and the MLB. But this is the late 90s, and NASCAR is the second most popular sport in America. And SEGA needs to please its large American market. What can they do? EA won't make any games for them, and Papyrus is making racing sims for PC. So, they go with the next best option, an arcade game. So, they got the NASCAR license from EA, and SEGA put SEGA Reso, I don't know, in charge of development, and thus, NASCAR Arcade was born. Now, don't get this confused with NASCAR Racing, because this is an entirely different game. A game that you can't play anymore. Considering the game's short lifespan and the fact that it's nearly as old as I am, it should come to no surprise that these machines are getting harder and harder to find. I mean, sure, nowadays, thanks to the internet, you can pirate it and get it to run on your PC, but come on. From what I've heard, the pirated version of this game is a mess. Graphical glitches, the car doesn't always respond to inputs correctly, the audio doesn't work properly. It's honestly not even worth it. And it's a shame because on paper, this game slaps. You may have noticed the bop and rock music I've been playing in the background for the last couple minutes. These are ripped straight from the game, and if you know anything about SEGA, yeah, they may stumble a lot, but they never miss with their soundtrack. But this one is special. Of course, going heavy on the guitar, SEGA hired the raw talent of Jun Sonoe and Johnny Gioli for the lead vocals. If you don't know who this is, it's Crush 40. If you don't know who that is, it's the people that did the soundtrack for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. For some reason, their band name is listed as Sons of Angels, but we've got a NASCAR game that's bopping as hard as Sonic Adventure. And it works! Heck, the song that's playing right now is the one I used as a theme for Legacy of the 18. Moving on to the actual game itself, we've got a loaded roster. And despite the game publishing in 2000, we got the 1999 cars. We've got Dale Earnhardt. We've got my boy Bobby Labonte. We've got we got Dale Jr. in his 8 car. We got Richard Petty in what looks like a 1970 Charger. And Kyle Petty is here in his beautiful number 44 Hot Wheels Pontiac. Wait, oh yeah, Pontiac. This game has licensed manufacturers unlike NASCAR 2000 on the PS1. You want to drive a Chevy or a Ford or a Pontiac? Pick your poison. Just like its spiritual successor, we have 3 tracks based on difficulty. Talladega for easy, Richmond for medium, and Watkins Glen for hard, as well as a special track that you can unlock. Wow, Glenn, that sure does sound cool. What's the gameplay like? Well, it's funny you should ask, because I have no idea. Yeah, like I said earlier, you'll be hard-pressed to find this game anymore, especially out in the wild. Most of the footage I've been using for this video are from the pirated version, and that's really your only means of playing it anymore. But, like I said, it's a broken mess. It's really not even worth it. Why? Why did EA Sports feel the need to take away their games from Sega consoles just because they had a competing brand? They literally didn't even have a problem with this when the PS2 and Xbox era came around. We got a glimpse of what we could have had on the Dreamcast, but in typical EA fashion, they got greedy. Nowadays, if you have a little chunk change and access to eBay, you can literally purchase any NASCAR game ever made. Heck, even EA's own NASCAR racing arcade machine. But not this one. Unlike NASCAR racing, this machine, as far as my knowledge goes, was only built for about a year max. This makes this game extremely rare, and part of the reason why most don't even know it exists. Now, personally, I played it once, but that was nearly 2 decades ago, and I just barely remember it. What I do remember though is it was this one with a roll cage, which looks like an iRacing sim setup. That was the first and last time I ever seen one, and that was 15 years ago, max. So, what happened to all of them? Well, I think like a lot of coin-op arcade machines, eventually wear and tear took over. Eventually, Sega stopped making them, and thus they couldn't order replacement parts for them. So they either ran them until they busted, or they retired them. It's the same reason EA's NASCAR racing is slowly phasing out. You don't hardly see them at Dave & Buster's anymore, and the only place where I know where one is at my local pizza place, and it don't work properly. And it probably never will again. It's kinda upsetting for us younger NASCAR fans, but life goes on. And who knows? Maybe someday we will get another NASCAR arcade. Not you! I wish I could say more about the game itself, but unfortunately articles on the internet can only do so much. However, I am aware there will be NASCAR fans that are older than me watching this video. So if you don't mind giving us some of your wisdom, what was the game like? How was it? Where did you play it? What was it like being alive for longer than a month in the 90s? And where can I find a machine so I can play it myself?